We have scope 1, scope 2. Scope X is whatever comes next, and which is what we do in projects. But again, we need to have the client who is open to discuss and revise the status quo and challenge themselves. If you implement or decide early on what to do, you clearly can get an exponential benefit from your choice because you don't come late. I could have done this.
You're talking about a revolution here.
Well, it's evolving slowly, but it's happening.
Hello, you're listening to Sustainable Infrastructure on ORIS podcast, where engineers, policymakers, and construction leaders share their experience on how the world can build sustainable infrastructure and fit the environmental and social challenges of the 21st century. I'm Nicolas Miravals, co-founder and CEO of ORIS Materials Intelligence. Our guest today is Costanzo Graffi, who is Europe Contractors Partnership Lead at AECOM. For the last 8 years, Costanzo has been with AECOM, one of the largest engineering firm in the world, and committed to reducing carbon impact by at least 50% on all major projects. So today we're going to explore with Costanzo some of the key topics of the sector. What role do materials play in reducing carbon footprint on large projects? How do you achieve ambitious decarbonization targets? What are the data and tools that the ecosystem needs? Is the infrastructure industry fundamentally shifting in how it creates value? All those things. And Costanzo, you're welcome to share your views and AECOM's views on all those things. Very happy to have you. First, maybe tell us who you are, your name, your organization, a few words from you.
Well, thank you, Nicolas. It's always a pleasure to meet you again. I mean, we've been back a few years now since we first met virtually. Again, I remember when it was in the middle of COVID. So always looking for new solutions and new partners to develop advanced digital solutions. So it was great to have this initial discussion. 2020 probably was it. I'm Costanzo Graffi. I'm in AECOM for over the 8 years. I always had focus on finding ways to grow the business in AECOM, first in continental Europe, then in the EMEA area, then now in the region between UK and Europe. And my task now for a couple of years now is to grow the market by partnerships for us, by partnering with selected contractors. And we all know that contractors are very important when it comes to build things because they are actually the ones building. And but we also as designers, we have as AECOM, we are the largest engineering firm worldwide with over 50,000 people. It's our duty to find opportunities for contractors to deliver more efficiently and partner with them to develop this solution to make them constructible, because that's one thing is something on paper on the screen, and then the rest is going to on site and building is always a different world. So we need to create this system where we collaborate and we use best of our capabilities. So very happy to be in this spot.
Absolutely. I will talk about that in details, of course. Prior to that, maybe on your personal commitment and your engagement, how would you qualify in one or two sentences your views about sustainable infrastructure and the direction that this industry has to take?
Well, everybody's saying, it's construction again, it's again polluting, is disrupting all the local system, it's not bringing any. I mean, people just see the bad things of construction, which is like a big, disruption of traffic or a large amount of dust being developed. That's what the general image you have. And then where people have a nice metro in the city, they're really happy and they really enjoy, but they don't consider that they had to go through that. Somebody had to build it. So for me, if decarbonizing, making construction or elevating, let's say, the role of construction under sustainability umbrella is a kind of mission, because that's really what will make our industry shine again in the eyes of the world, becoming a partner to deliver growth for the entire population worldwide rather than being the one disrupting daily life of people. So for me, being elevating the image of becoming more sustainable is really partnering with communities in their journey in developing their dreams or targets or becoming more inclusive. So that's for me is really what is driving my my day-to-day job in becoming more sustainable every day.
I really like it about rehabilitating engineers and the construction industry in the perception of the public and the people, and this is definitely through sustainable actions and commitments and concrete facts that we can get
and
to
communicating
that.
Communicating
That,
also those to the public. Not everyone knows. We know.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about AECOM and back to this large engineering firm, I mean, the largest potentially when it comes to infrastructure. What is this ambition to reduce 50% carbon emission on each project? Can you detail a bit on that? And that will probably come to materials because AECOM has a specific relation to materials as well, and this is important. We have through our records and project identified that more than 80% of the infrastructure impact is about materials. So how do you, with AECOM, deal with that? And what are the policies and the tools or anything you can tell us about that?
In AECOM, we took our carbon reduction very seriously, starting from our own operations. Now it's scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. I mean, trying to run our company using the principle of decarbonization. So it's starting from traveling sustainably, trying to get, using flexible way of working to reduce the impact on carbon, or optimizing offices. All what you can imagine from innovation, which probably everybody now is going through, and we started a few years back. The final outcome for our commitment on projects came from what we call Scope X, which is we have Scope 1, Scope 2. Scope X is whatever comes next, and which is what we do in projects, and that's not one-off solution. It's really a culture within the organization which utilize competencies, tools, data, opportunities on projects, client relationships, anything we can bring, supply chain, research, development, all what we have in the company, being 50,000 people, global company, give us opportunity to access many talents, many companies, many partners, many experiences. And the target is to reduce 50% carbon in the design phase, which is always something we can measure as far as we can go as a designer, and then as far as we can go on site and provide the measurements of what the impact would be. So from my point of view, we created this ecosystem of competencies, partners like ORIS and solutions of experts as well, who can effectively, project by project, help us in finding opportunities to reduce carbon. And that's...
This is also a group policy, I guess, from your side. So would you say today that everyone at AECOM is aware of Scope X and would be using it one way or another? Is it really core to the day-to-day
It's a cultural,
business?
yes, it is, because it clearly takes time for embedding a new culture or a new approach in a company, especially large company. So we started years ago with safety. Safety became day-to-day things. We need to record safety observations every month. We have that, which sometimes a bit like, okay, I need to do this. But finally, you realize that your daily life becomes a kind of way of thinking. The same for sustainability. I mean, it started with, what is Scope X? At the beginning, I said, okay, what is this Scope X? And clearly, it's not a one-off solution. It's really utilizing everything we can for a target. So once we clarify that internally, people start realizing that probably we're already doing something like that, because we didn't invent sustainability. We're just trying to focus on sustainability and make it a recurrent theme in our project. So take best practice from somewhere, bring it then somewhere else where we haven't used it or haven't thought about it. So now it became really a way of saying there is no project where we don't start with, okay, what are opportunities to reduce carbon? That's it's also a client-driven, industry-driven mechanism, not something we invented. I mean, it's something we probably advanced an approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like your comparison with safety, because some years back, safety was not only a focus, but also a management issue, at the company level, to engage everyone behind something, to have a cultural behavior, common behavior. And this was a turn for our industry. And now we have exactly the same with sustainability. So I think your parallel is absolutely brilliant.
And we also embed these principles into our no-go discussion about projects to a level that we no-go also attractive projects if there are no alignment with sustainability standards as it was for safety standards. We cannot partner with the client which doesn't have the same safety culture as us. We found a way in our contracts also to step out to the contract. Sorry, we cannot work in this. It's against our ethical thing. It's also against the health of our employees, by the way. So we cannot do.
Yeah. Maybe it's a good time also to recall that sustainability is embracing all that, because sustainability, as per the definition, is the triangle with environment, economic, and social, and safety enters the social part, and obviously people.
And that's effectively an expansion of what we started with safety, but it clearly goes much beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have I understand that Scope X is something which is a kind of umbrella culture and something moving many lines at the same time. What about the tools or the methods or the methodologies that you have internally? Can you tell us about this a little bit? Do you have proprietary systems, or how do you make this move?
Well, it's made of many. As I said, we created an ecosystem where we identified also solutions, tools we use, which will be internal or external. So we have developed some solutions on our own, but clearly the adoption of solution is always subject to the needs of the contract or the project or the scope or the geography where we are in. So we have developed our own tools, especially the early days on identifying decarbonization opportunities on projects. I remember our Nottingham office did that with TII in Ireland to assess projects under decarbonization, so finding decarbonization opportunities. It's not as sophisticated as probably ORIS would be, but it was also 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. But still, it was based on data. We're trying to use our best engineering judgment, etc. So it's all time consuming, because it's all project related, client related. So these solutions are more tailor made. And from there, we acquire some lessons learned, so we understand our duty as a consultant is not to develop software or solutions. It's really to adopt the best solution for our clients and integrate it with our design processes. So we have developed on the back of some projects some stakeholder management platforms like PlanEngage, where we really started with a virtual stakeholder engagement tool where we could also during COVID engage communities and getting approvals on projects, etc., where we could meet people. And this became also a design tool, but we had started putting all the project in it. So all BIM integration and other stakeholder management functions were integrated in a way that we could effectively provide a full solution to clients to manage stakeholders with the project, with the consultation rooms, with all those. So we have such solutions which normally come from project and then scale up as, okay, this is nice. So we normally have some innovation competition internally to elevate the applicability of such solutions, because being larger organization is difficult to know what we know. We normally say if only AECOM could know what AECOM knows, would be the most powerful company, but knowledge sharing is great. So, but yeah, that's our approach.
Very interesting, yeah. And with the scale and the size of AECOM, of course, there are so many opportunities and so many client project customers all across the globe. That's really a a strong lever that you can use, of course.
And we have technical groups internally who can do that. But again, it's perfect, it's far away, but it can be better.
Yeah, so AECOM is definitely a big counterpart for government and authorities, and with so many projects and experience. So my question now is about how much do you see the trend in those government and public authorities into requirements and being more demanding when it comes to sustainability indicators, KPIs, actions, facts. Do you see that accelerating? What's your feeling about it?
No, it's definitely accelerating, and what you mentioned is correct. We work, even if I look at the contractor side, we work a lot with end clients, so public authorities. We advise inter governments sometimes on policies. So that's clearly a powerful way of entering a bit of a decision-making process within, because we effectively, technically, we can support a lot on those type of things. So no, there is clearly a big acceleration. It depends a lot on the country. I mean, the way, in general, there is a big push on getting higher standards for sustainability in different ways. There are targets coming from UN, and then you have all the agenda of ESG. I mean, there are lots of, now you can really refer yourself to many type of guidelines. There is no law really related to that, but there are guidances which can give you best practices or certification criteria in Vision, BREEAM. I mean, you can use whatever. I mean, there are many resources on the market you can refer to. And the way to go on our industry in terms of sustainability really depends on the country. I mean, you find also the culture. I mean, if you go to Southern European countries, for example, we are very driven by exact specifications, KPIs. I'm based in Italy and also Greece or Spain. They tend to get, okay, you need to use Envision. That's what you need. So they are happy that everything will be sustainable. So that's one solution fits all, and that's an example. But we see it quite, which is comfortable for us as well. It's comfortable or not, because it's comfortable if we have all the experts who are qualified in Envision. On other countries like the Nordics, Scandinavia, for example, or even England, we tend to receive a more open question, like, okay, this is the target. What can you do? And we can choose if we can use Envision principles or our own principles or finding exact solutions. And but the KPIs or requests are there. I mean, one thing could be, please adhere to this particular exact protocol, or please find me a solution which you can demonstrate that will bring advantage to. As an example, we've been working now in Sweden for a long time. We've been advising them to use stone columns for special foundation for truck beds. And they never used stone columns in Sweden because that was not a normal way to do it. But because the 90% reduction in carbon compared to the solution they had designed, and the lower cost also, because it's also, we've been accompanied by the client to get approval by the national body for specification, I mean, the national body of certification, etc., to get approval for using stone columns, because it was such a big advantage on their key targets, which was, let's be sustainable, be carbon neutral, that the governmental body, which is Traffic, helped us drive all the way through to the approval to embed this solution in the range of solutions for truck. So that's a big opening.
So it means that, sorry, but this make me think that from a traditional performance-based approach versus specification, you are telling that this performance-based approach now is shifting to sustainable performance approach, right? And that can be a driver for decision making.
And we discussed many times. I mean, performance-based approach is very popular in countries like in some countries, especially in northern hemisphere. It's the northern part of Europe, in particular. I'm looking after Europe, so that's where we get. But and it proves effective, because if you have a right culture, or the right skills in your industry, that clearly can foster innovation, first of all. So people will do whatever to achieve a target, which is the final result. And clearly there is a risk because new solutions in long term, we don't know what happens. So clearly that's why some systems are more prescriptive because they need to be sure that we do this now and in 10 years time, we don't get another big problem of pollution or somewhere else because we didn't know something about. So there is a level of control. But yeah, as I said, it's a cultural way to
at the same time, for sure, companies like you are exposed to so many territories, geographies, type of works, etc. That what can be innovative for some countries is not for others. So maybe you are in confidence also to implement new things in new territories.
That's the advantage we have, exactly. So we, for example, now we are looking at some metro projects and a few clients are asking for geothermal in stations, which is something which will be implemented somewhere. We studied this on Crossrail and others. We're trying to transfer it into clients. But again, we need to have the client who is open to discuss and revise the status quo and challenge themselves. Do you want to do it right, the traditional way, or want to listen to who've done it somewhere else? But yeah, as often happens, innovation is to be proven innovation with at least 10 years experience, which if you compare with the innovative concept, you need to be, probably the definition of innovation needs to be redrafted when it comes to public infrastructure and so on. As I say, rightly so because of the level of risk included in this project. So I can understand why.
Of course. And timelines are a bit different in infrastructure, so innovation can take long years. But that's the value of, the value is to transfer it from one geography to another.
That's a big power.
Obviously, because then you reduce the time. Let's get back to the contractors. You touched points on contractors a few times, but this is your role now to develop partnerships and have value creation, I guess, in those partnerships with contractors. Staying focused on sustainability and talking about contractors, historically we have contractors having focused primarily on cost and optimizations and efficiency, and this is really where they are. This is a survival skill as well for contractors. This is how the best contractors behave because of the economics first. But now we see sustainability coming in, and we see postures also moving a bit towards sustainability, and contractors are able to take leading roles as well, not only engineers but also there. So what's your experience, and how what's the combination, the best combination to you between cost and sustainability, performance, and the role of you as AECOM in this equation?
You also had a contractor background, so I know you're speaking from large experience in your background. That's always been demonstrated that normally if you find a more sustainable solution, typically it's also cheaper. That's it comes along with the advantage of being sustainable, because sustainability often, especially like going back into the materials, where my contractors are very much involved in materials, because that's where, if they save material, they save, they make off the margin, basically. That's what it takes also less time to work. So it's there are some schemes where contractors really came back to the industry and say, listen, we try to find cost optimization, etc. By the way, we use recycling, using local materials, we do that. We also save 10% of the costs. But it also proved that we reduce 30% of the carbon footprint of the project. So the carbon footprint was always seen like a byproduct of the cost saving, no? If you present it that way, by the contractor point of view, we save cost. And by the way, we also save. So that's always coming in but that's normal, because contractor have, the percentage of profits, so the construction industry is not 20. Normally it's 3-4% if you're lucky. So anything can erode that 3%. So exactly. Clearly the focus is always in cost saving, but I think their experience is clear. As consultants, we have probably exposure, clearly we have exposure to a wider range of contracts or projects, which can validate that what the contractor achieved in one place can be achieved systematically in many other contracts. So we can be an enabler to make sustainability more a best practice that contractor can be confident in adopting, and we can help them embedding these best practices in their normal activities from bidding phase. But bidding phase because now clients are asking for this, so clearly for them is also winning flag. You need to we work with them to find the best solution because also clients will give a higher score, so we can win for that. So which is always the best incentive.
Yeah.
And then you have clearly the cost-saving incentive, which comes with being more sustainable, especially if you look at the sustainability or carbon reduction, let's say, within the construction phase. Then if you go wider in more sustainable for social impact, etc., which typically is sometimes a bit outside the contractor area of influence, because you build the infrastructure, the clear infrastructure will bring an advantage to the community. That's where contractors are less involved. But again, there are elements of how you construct, and we can strategize around construction, or how you engage with the local supply chain, or how you engage with local communities during construction, which is, again, will tick another box on our sustainability agenda, which is creating value for social impact, let's say. So that elevating all these elements, which are seen like normal for a contractor, but for communities are not that evident. So elevating the fact that you have a HS2 built somewhere and you get jobs for 1,000 people, I mean, sometimes it was not that clear. And goes back to my impact.
That's true. And it's also, what you're saying is that also it's a matter of putting indicators and putting numbers and quantifying exactly what is done. Because I tend to agree that this industry is not that late when we look at the actions. So in circularity, this is where we recycle most of the construction materials in infrastructure. In the different practices, it has been over time evolving. But we don't always quantify, and we are not good at quantifying because we probably lack tools and capacities. This is also due to the fact that projects are everywhere, responding to different environment, different people, different practices, and it's difficult to have a kind of systematic approach.
The same measurement system.
That's what. Exactly. Yeah. So this is what digital tools bring, by the way.
No, and also that's why some clients just adopt some specific type of protocols for sustainability. So at least there is a metric. There is a level of certainty about what are going to measure, what we're going to drive. It's a good starting approach. It would be good if we can have a bit more detail or a bit more systematic approach using data, which now we have in abundance. When 20 years ago, data was always, we don't have enough data, we need to make prediction judgments. Now we have so many data, we don't know what to do with them. And again, we have the opposite problems. We could do everything, but we don't have, that's why probably AI, etc. are coming very handy, because we can systematize some approaches and make things more comparable using data from anywhere. And,
exactly. Yeah. And that's the best way also to make this industry an industry. Yes. Because then it will work in a very programmatic manner. And I'm not talking about building the same things everywhere. I'm just talking about having framework, understanding, and practices which are a bit more systematic.
As we always discuss, good decisions is always the best way to avoid risk and take opportunities at the right level. No? So if you implement or decide early on what to do, you clearly can get an exponential benefit from your choice, because you don't come late. I could have done this. I mean, it's bad when you say, we could have done this way. We could have saved X in carbon, X in millions. So if you can anticipate this by using data from previous projects, that's clearly is a great advantage for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me still about the contractors. What do you think about the level of the regulation, the reporting, the obligations that are slowly framing also our industry. Is it something that is making things move faster, or is it seen more as a constraint and something to avoid? What's your feeling about that?
I believe that policies and requirements always help in setting at least the baseline of what we want to achieve. So it will be aligning the industry to at least a minimum level of something which is acceptable for the industry to make an impact in that particular thing. Too much prescription then will kill opportunity to innovate. So I think I'm happy if there is a policy which is, for example, UK we have PS 2080, which sets a bit the decarbonization practices for companies to be validated, etc. That's really setting the basics. It shouldn't be the target or setting the bar at that level, should be the base. Then from there, the competition should be from, okay, let's be all certified, okay, what else you can go. So as far as the regulation allow to be more, to compete on that ground, starting from the base which is acceptable for basic social impact requirements or benefit or health of the community, I mean, that would be the healthy, in my opinion, to still keep this innovation competition, finding opportunities, using your supply chain partners in the best way to get the right data, the right information, and implement solutions which are more and more incrementally more sustainable, more efficient, and so that's
Yeah, and if you had one particular focus about moving the market and transforming the market at scale, would that be around technical specification, about procurement processes, about decarbonization policies, or where would you see that first? I mean, it's a bit of everything, of course, but I'm asking the question because most of the time when we talk about transformation in the contractors landscape, it goes very fast to the procurement system.
No,
so this is really
that's right.
thing.
Yeah.
So can we open that?
Absolutely. I mean, for contractors in particular, I think technical specification is really where we make an impact because contractors respond to what they're asked to do. I mean, they don't do more than what they're asked to do normally, but because of the economical reason we said, I mean, if it doesn't cost more, they can do more. If it costs more, they ask for compensation. So if the compensation is not implied, then they don't do it. I mean, that's normal behavior. We wouldn't. We're not NGOs. We're not NGOs.
That's what contractors do.
Exactly. That's exactly a healthy way to keep your business going. So it's really, I think it's more responsibility from the policymakers and who also embeds policies into technical requirements for projects or programs to make the right choice on what we're asking the supply chain to do, and also what level of freedom you leave. Because, I mean, contractors are increasingly having internal departments looking at sustainability. I mean, they are developing these internal skills, so which is good because that means that they really know what they can do. We also have a competent interface if we want to speak to contractors under certain ways. But again, having the right policymakers, etc., and the right technical requirements coming from these policies, I think, is a key requirement for the industry to move in a certain direction.
You can help, of course, as a reputable engineer and lots of experience. Of course, you can help also define those specifications, define those performance, define those baselines that we want for projects.
That's really what is our responsibility as an industry player, to be as effective as possible, to be strategic in a way we embed policies into technical requirements and the level of freedom. So where we put specification, where do we put performance requirements? So that's really the balance. Some things need to be specified because there's something we cannot go below that. So this really mean. The other one could be a specification, performance specification, where we would like to have competition on the idea. I mean, we would like to see the industry moving into a more creative or a more innovative way to develop. But again, as I say, knowing the industry, we can understand where there is room for improvement or where probably we reach the top and we need to specify a specific number what should be achieved.
Yes. And when it comes to sustainability again, and those specifications, do you see geographies moving forward? Do you see countries moving forward? And what's your experience?
Well, it's we have a baseline of behaviors which are driven by you, for example. So that's really the bottom baseline which everybody needs to develop. So as I said, I see different ways of moving in that direction. Everybody's moving in the right direction, in my opinion. Especially, I mean, I'm looking mostly at Europe, and then I can have also US, Canada, I mean, Australia. Normally, the world we are connected. Normally, there is a lot of exchange of best practices, lots of exchange of policies and systems. In particular, geography, as I said, there is more push for new ideas in the northern part of Europe. That's what I notice. That's because probably contracting is based on trust and collaboration. So that's where also the mentality embedded in the years on about how the different actors within the construction industry are collaborating with each other. You know, ACIs, alliancing, etc. They promote everyone to give their best without being scared of big punishment, big liabilities, etc. So there are liabilities, but measured to what you are doing on the contract. More prescriptive cultures or contractual cultures are, let's say, a bit more difficult to see this push on new solutions. But it also happens because you need to understand that there is a big prescription. There is always a level of flexibility which is not written in the contracts. It's written in the way you do things on site. Because finally, I mean, the clients, the representatives, contractor, designers, they all have the same interest in finishing the project on time, on budget. So finally, this is where on construction side, on the planning phase, this is where the innovation happens. It's not written in the papers, but then sustainability is embedded in the solution you're discussing after the contract is signed and you go through variation order. It's a bit more heavy in terms of administration, but then things are happening also in markets where we from outside look like, oh no, this is really difficult. I mean, no, it's not difficult. You just need to know how to manage a contract.
So you would say that collaboration models, alliances, and or equivalent are faster to the result.
And reducing level of conflict also helps in spending your energies in proactive activities rather than defensive, and that really helps. I mean, that's the reality.
You are talking about a revolution here.
Well, it's evolving slowly, but it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening. Absolutely, I believe that as well. We are getting close to the end of our interview, but I have a few quick questions for you, just to have your final views on few things. So, first, if you have to choose one concrete action for the next 12 months to accelerate decarbonization in Europe, about infrastructure, of course, what would this be?
In construction, that's something I see happening small. It would be connecting to other industries and check what others are doing. Because there is, construction has always been the last incoming innovation, etc., because of the level of risk infrastructure brings with them. So I think if we can check how other industries, more technological advanced, etc., are approaching sustainability, I think we could have proven experiences we can learn from and accelerate the way we can bring a higher level of decarbonization in the industry. This could be on the materials industry. So why should we use always concrete? Maybe there are other materials we can use, for example. Or I'm talking in theory, but I saw some examples coming from recent EIC, International European Contractor Federation conferences we are a member of. There were some interesting discussion in Bordeaux when we met in Bordeaux, talking about how do we use what is called waste, but it's not waste. It's a new material we can use somewhere else to do something else, and that could be accelerating a lot. Just looking at what other industries are doing, adopting to reduce their cost, being competitive, minimize plastic use, all these type of things. So that could be the next 12 months. I would say that would be a quick win. if we can learn from what others did already.
Yeah, we are certainly not at the end of
No.
innovation on this sector.
No, there's a lot to do with materials.
Yeah, talking about technology or practice, you've seen recently, what would deserve a wider adoption? One technology, one practice, one system that you've seen recently that you would like to promote, maybe?
Really, I'm excluding ORIS because that's all. Really, I mean it's a given. Because we tested ORIS and actually was was effective in that space. Again, I will still touch on recycling of materials. The all technologies which are really, and now we can do it. Separating the different chemicals within a material and reusing these chemicals to build new materials instead of extracting or producing new materials. That's the technology which I will really look at. I mean, we are so good now in finding ways to dissolve different matrices, etc. We can reuse part of these matrices in a general recycling, material recycling adoption. That for me would be, I saw things happening, especially I was referring to that particular experience in Bordeaux when we exchanged ideas with the company, was really doing that. I mean, taking materials from any type of waste and finding elements of this material which were useful for other industries. So we're just extracting this material, these elements to rebuild materials which are fit for purpose for other industries, which was really nice. So by a scientific point of view, as an engineer, was really exciting to see that, because sometimes you give for granted that you have that material, you cannot change it. No, you can still take out from the material something which is very precious for you if you don't realize that. So yeah.
And I know that remediation of soils and materials is a big field for AECOM, and that's a sector that has evolved a lot also over the years, because 10, 15, 20 years back, we were very basic on those things.
No, again, it's about the data.
Fewer
it's about the data, and understanding what you have, and then you can realize that you have a treasure which is there hidden, you're not using it. And now we have technologies who can help in using that treasure, which could be a particular material or something.
So maybe my final question will relate to the data also. And if you want to give an advice or share something with someone willing to transform this industry using data, what would be your, few advices on that? I mean, what is the data which is not used enough, in your opinion, in this field of sustainable transformation?
My opinion, data from now in the last 100 years, we built enormous amount of infrastructure worldwide, and now we're still building another. Getting information from these existing infrastructures, understanding how things really happen in reality. I mean, and getting this back into the design phase, planning phase, etc. It's happening. I mean, it's something we do more and more. Life cycle assessment, all life cost, etc. If we do it as a systematic approach for design or for building, by creating this database of, okay, this is what happened with this particular structure, linking the design with the performance and how things went. And I think now we have the opportunity to do it because we have motorways which are 50, 60 years old. So it should be at the end of their life. Maybe they're not at the end of their life. I mean, they're still going. I mean, so there must be something in our prediction we were not, too conservative. Now probably we can, with right data coming from how this infrastructure behave, infrastructure buildings, whatever. I think making best use of this and making the normal practice to embed returnable experience into design and planning, etc. For me, that could be the big next step to become even more efficient and use data.
Historical data and behaviors of the infrastructure, of course. Instead of guessing, as we've been doing, scientifically guessing all the time.
To be more flexible.
Reality always more complex.
Challenging the traditional way of doing things. That's really what would challenge it in that way. I mean, based on facts, not based on opinions.
Yeah, so that will be our final statement for today. Thank you very much, Costanzo. It was a good discussion with you.
Thank you for your time and for inviting.
And I wish you a good day, and we will talk soon.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.